Well, Beth Peters is happy to talk about her heating bill. Just $20 since her family moved into their environmentally conscious home in Long River near New London. Peters wrote a blog about her family's journey building what is called a passive house. It's built to a rigorous set of standards developed in Germany to create an ultra-low energy building. More than 40,000 have been built in Europe, and the European Union will require all new buildings to meet passive house standards by 2020. But there are very few so far in North America, something Beth Peters is hoping to change through her blog. Island Morning's Nancy Russell takes us to Long River for a tour of the passive house.
All right, so one of the big differences in our home is actually the thickness of our exterior walls. So our exterior walls are approximately 24 inches thick, which is significantly, thicker than traditional construction. And that is absolutely jam-packed full of insulation. So there are approximately 75 pounds of dense-packed cellulose insulation in between every stud. So it's a very, very, very strong wall. This all started when we wanted to build a new home, and we had originally researched building a passive solar home. And the more we researched that, the more we discovered information about passive house.
What's the difference?
It's much more stringent standards that you have to reach. It's actually a German efficiency standard, so there's really important criteria that you have to meet in order to be able to be considered a passive house.
And why did that appeal to you so much?
Well, one of the biggest things was to be able to save money on our heating costs, for one. Probably the bigger reason, though, was the fact that my husband and I are a very environmentally conscious couple, and we wanted to do whatever we could to reduce our footprint on this world, and plus teach our 4 kids. So the biggest things are the things that you can't actually see, right? When you look around the house, everything looks like a normal house. Right? It's just basic flooring and cupboards and things like that. One of our biggest things was even just to find a contractor who was going to be willing to do what we asked them to do, because the construction process was quite different, mostly in terms of the wall construction. The design process as well. We actually had to have somebody design our home, and then put every single little detail of the house through a software package called the Passive House Planning Package. Another thing about the home is the windows themselves. So they came from Ireland, and they are triple pane windows, and they are of tilt and turn design. So they don't slide up and down. You turn the handles different ways, and they'll either tip in from the top or they open up like a door towards the inside. And that gives a much better seal. And that way you're not going to have any of the air leakage that you would have with traditional windows around here.
You have maintained a blog from the very beginning, from this idea. Why did you want to document your journey?
Well, I'm a teacher, and so for me, a big part of things is, I want to live one way, but I also want to be teaching people about ways that they may not know about themselves. So we've actually had, quite a few people interested in the house, and we've had an open house, and I've given a bunch of presentations. We are so passionate about what we've done. We want to teach other people about it. So we decided to purchase what's called the TED, so it's the Energy Detective. So it gives us, how many watts we're using, and then as well, in real time, how many dollars per hour or how many cents per hour we're actually using at that time. We're using 2 cents per hour right now.
You've decided to post your monthly energy data for people to see. What's it like when you have a look at it and you see how little you're spending?
Oh, it's amazing. And, we even had somebody comment the other day that he was thrilled because he's already spent hundreds of dollars in oil. So he was, giving us big cheers for that. It's exciting to see other people excited about it as well. And one of the reasons we wanted to post that information to the blog was because we didn't know if people would believe us unless we had the proof for them, right? And, so that was really important for us too. We want people to see that this can work. So even though it's something different and it's not something that people are used to around here, that it's possible and we can do it in our climate and have fantastic results from it. It was pretty important to have doors that were going to be passive house as well. We have full glass doors because they have better insulating value than a traditional wooden door or a steel door does. There's 5 hinges on the door because they're extremely heavy. So when you open the door, you just turn the handle and you kind of open the door there. But when you close the door, to make sure it's completely air sealed, you have to take the handle and move it up. And that puts into place a locking mechanism within the door that completely seals it to keep it airtight. And I guess that's the other big thing, was that it would be our heating. We have one 1,500 watt electric heater. So if you want to really think about that, a blow dryer is 1,500 watts. So we basically have a heater the size of a blow dryer heating a 2,000 square foot house. The lungs of the house. When we enter the mechanical room, what you see is not a whole lot, actually. You see a heat recovery ventilator, which would be our air exchange system. The really special thing about our air exchange system, though, is that it recovers the heat that's leaving the house and puts it back into the fresh air that's coming into the home. We can actually conserve 85% of the heat from our house comes back into the fresh air entering the home.
Dollars and cents. How much more was it to build this way?
Yeah, it definitely was more. So really, it's the upfront cost that you have in that sense. It was probably about 20% more to build the home, but we have no furnace, right? There's so many things about the home that we put the equity into our home to begin with, and that's just we're building more equity in our home and not paying it out to the oil man.
What have your results been in terms of energy use?
Oh, absolutely amazing. We have probably spent about $20 to heat the house since we moved in February.
$20?
Yes, $20. Yeah, that's it. And we really look by the day. Like today, it's not super sunny, but it's a little bit sunny, and we've probably spent about 15 cents today. And at the most that we've ever had is about $1 a day in heating the home. You
decided not to have your house certified. And there are certification standards and a process. Why did you decide not to do that?
We chose not to certify strictly because of cost. It was going to cost about $7,000 to get the certification papers, and that just wasn't something that was important enough to us to bother going for. Our house could be certified. We have all the documentation in place, and we've met every single one of the standards. So that is possible down the road if we choose to go that way. But with such a huge price tag on that, we decided to, take that money and spend it on things like more insulation.
Since you built your house, have you heard of other people following in your footsteps?
Yep, there's a house down east that's under construction right now.
Relatives of yours?
It is relatives of ours, yep, my sister-in-law and her husband. Then I've talked to quite a few other couples who have come to some different presentations that I've done, and they're in planning stages of building a passive house as well.
What's the future for this house?
Just to live in forever. We've called this our forever home. So we're just going to live comfortably here from now. I'll continue to post some information about it, and I'll continue to give tours and talks if people are interested in learning more about it. But now it's just time to settle down and enjoy living in our home.
Beth Peters has written a blog. It's called Long River House, a passive house journey on P.E.I. We're sending out a link on our Twitter feed at Island Morning. Our thanks to Nancy Russell for that story, and Nancy has posted photos and links to that blog as well on our CBC website, cbc.ca/PEI.